I am here again to share with you the different kinds of tools and equipment that are commonly used in SMAW. Always expected that once you start cutting, you have to measure. So you have to use a steel tip measure. So this is a steel tip measure. That is one of the tools that you are going to use during measuring. Okay? Say for example, you have to do like this. No? So you have to measure 4 inches or whatever measure length that you are going to what we call measure. Okay? So this is what we call a steel tape measure. After you have measured, what will follow is you have to cut the metal that you have measured. You have to cut it with a cutting tool, which is what we call hacksaw. Hacksaw is a very common tool that is being used by welder. Most especially if you cannot afford other equipment that will make your work fast, this is a very common tool that you are going to use in cutting, like that. So when you cut, do it this way, like that. Okay? That's how I'm going to cut using a hacksaw. Hacksaw, as I have already mentioned, is very common because if you will be cutting a small part of a metal, you need not to use other kind of equipment, but instead you have to use hacksaw to minimize what we call, you can save money because you will not be using electricity anymore. So it is your what you call force. No, you have to use your power in cutting. So that's one. And then the second one, since you can afford to buy an equipment or a cutting tool, you can use this one. This is what we call a portable electric grinder. It is a very common equipment used to smoothen rough surfaces, most especially before starting to weld. You have to expect that the metal that you are going to weld is rusty because you have purchased that one in the junk shop. So it is rusty. So you have to use an electric grinder, or we call this as portable electric grinder. So you can use this one. So I was able to remove the paint, not exactly the rust, using a portable electric grinder. But as I already mentioned, that sometimes, some of the tools or equipment, not only one kind of not only using grinding, but using electric grinder, you can also use in cutting. So you have to place or install a cutting desk in our electric grinder. So this one, seen that I was able to cut the metal faster compared to a hacksaw. A hacksaw would spend a lot of minutes in cutting, but using this one, a matter maybe of seconds, 20 to 30 seconds, you can already cut the metal. Okay? So, it is very important also if you have a project, because you need to finish the project in a certain target time. So, at least you have to equip yourself with this kind of equipment. As I already mentioned, that there are some portion of your work, like clean sheet, that you need to smoothen. You can also install the electric grinder with what they call cup brush. The cup brush is used to smoothen rough surfaces, most especially if it is rusty. So, like this, okay? So, you can see that the surface becomes smooth, no? So the rust was being removed using this cup brush. Okay? So this is useful. So as you have seen, the name portable electric grinder, you will be using this one for 3 kinds of work. You can use in grinding, you can use it in cutting, you can use it in cleaning. Okay? So that's the use of a portable electric grinder. The next kind of equipment, this is what we call electric or portable electric drill. So, a portable electric drill is used to bore holes. You can bore holes on a piece of wood. You can bore holes on a piece of metal. Take note, if you are going to bore holes on a piece of wood, you can use wood drill bit. But if you are going to use or to bore holes on a metal, you have to use metal drill bit. If you want to bore holes on a cemented walls, you have to use another kind of tool. This is what we call our drill bit. This is what we call masonry drill bit. So a masonry drill bit is exclusive for boring holes on cemented wall or flooring. That's the only use of that, what we call masonry drill bit. But a metal drill bit, take note of it, that not only metal, you can also use in drilling or boring holes on a piece of wood. So that's the use of this, what we call portable electric drill. Okay? Okay, while you are working, you cannot expect that if your work or your metal, warp, you have to straighten this one. During straightening of this, you have to use ball peen hammer. You have to use ball peen hammer. This is called ball peen because the pin looks like a ball. So this is it. So this is how we're going to use. Okay. So with the use of this ball peen hammer, I was able to straighten a piece of metal. So this one also is very useful during your work as a welder, because every now and then you will be using or you will be hammering. You want to straighten, you want to make a ring, any kind of work that needs hammering, use ball peen hammer. Okay, so this is very useful. Another is, during your hammering, you cannot just simply use or hammer on top of the table. You are destroying your table, no? Not do this one, but instead, you have to use anvil. This anvil is very useful because you can perform your work well in straightening by not exerting too much force. Like that, no? A little hammering, it would be straightened since it is very heavy. Heavy this one, and then it will not move easily because of the weight of this anvil. So this one is called anvil. The one that you are going to straighten is called metal. You have to use what we call ball peen hammer. Okay? For those who do not know what is ball peen hammer, this is the appearance of a ball peen hammer. But sometimes you can see that a ball peen hammer, the handle is made of wood, sometimes, or fiberglass. But this one, this is an improvised handle. I changed the handle with a pipe so that it will last long compared to other kind of handle. Okay? So this one is a ball peen hammer. The next tool that I'm going to show you is a tri-square. When you perform a work, any kind of work, it is a rectangular, it is a square, you need to use tri-square. So say for example, you would like to know if your work is 90 degrees. So you can use your tri-square. So tri-square is very important also during fabrication, because without this, you cannot make your work accurate during what we call assembling. No? So your purpose is to make it square. The squareness of your work can be determined with the use of a tri-square. Well, during your work, sometimes you will be making long gates or tall gates. You cannot rely on this much because this is short, but instead, this is what we call steel square. So instead of using this one, you have to use steel square, because this is long enough wherein you can have a perfect angle compared to a tri-square. So take note, always remember, if you will be if you are fabricating a long gate or a very tall gate, do not use tri-square, but you have to use steel square. Okay? So this is very important. I was talking before about flattening or smoothing surfaces. Sometimes you don't have any grinder. So instead of using grinder, you can use file. This is what we call flat file. Sometimes you will be filing an opening. Like this, there is an open that needs filing inside. You can use flat file. Or maybe you can use half round file. Because you cannot use grinder inside. Very sure, you cannot use a grinder because it is inside. So you will be forced to smooth surfaces on a piece of metal wherein the opening is at the center. So you can use half round file. We have half flat file. Actually, there are so many kinds of file according to its shape. Now, this one is very common. We have flat file, we have square file, we have triangular file, we have knife file, and we'll have also half round. Okay? So, I am just showing to you some of the types of files. Okay? So, next, when you are able to install your what we call project or your gate that you have assembled, you want to see the levelness of your work. Just simply place this one on top, then adjust to the right, to the left, until that the water will be level. This is what we call level bar. Okay? So the level bar is also important. No? You want that portion and this portion will be level. You just simply place a string and then put this one to the level of the string, and then you can see which is higher. So if that's too high, you can move down. Okay, mark. Okay, so this one is very small tool, but this can help you during the levelness of your work during installation. During installation, when you install your gate, you need to level it, or else your gate looks like this, like that. No? So you want to level it, just simply use this very common tool wherein you can make your work nice. Perfect levelness of your work is being done because of this level bar. Okay? Okay. There are times like this when you fabricate. This is plain sheet. You need to cut. If you want to cut a plain sheet like this, or thicker than this, you have to use thin snips. A thin snips is very useful in cutting plain sheets. Take note of it. Without this, how are you going to cut it? Probably you can use the cutting desk, but it would take time. But because of this, you can just simply cut. No? Do like this. Using a thin snips, you will be able to perform your work easier and faster. Okay? So this is what we call thin snips. Okay? Thin snips.